Okay, here's a video regarding my initial thoughts on the Crew Motorfest, which is there's a 5 hour trial which was running from Thursday until the 17th of September, and it's available on the PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S, and I don't know if it's available on PC. I'm assuming it is. Now, again, this is gonna be my personal views in it. So, I'm gonna be honest. So I didn't really like it. And I'll explain why. I'll try to be as short as possible. But in terms of, it's really great. First of all, that you're able to play a trial version of it for 5 hours, right, for 5 hours. It's very kind of rare that game companies allow you, give you like 5 hours, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it actually is. And then obviously, if you like the game, you can transfer the game to the full version of the actual game. So you can do that. And Ubisoft are kind of well known for doing trials in their video games. They've done it with The Crew. They did it with Watch Dogs. I think they did it with Watch Dogs Legion, and they've done it with Watch Dogs 2. And I know that there's quite a few other games where they actually do it, so you get a good feel of the game. And I do wish that a lot more game companies would allow you to play a trial or demos. These days, you don't see a lot of demos of the big AA games these days. I remember back in the day, obviously way after the Super Nintendo and Mega Drive, because they were just cartridges. But when we got to say like the PlayStation 3 obviously went, and the Xbox 360, obviously these had were internet enabled and were using it really heavily. You used to get a lot of demos of certain games, and you could play certain a particular demo of a game for quite a long while and then get a feel of the game. Something happened to me when I bought when I first bought my PlayStation 3, and there had quite a few demos on there, and I remember that there was an Uncharted 1 demo. So I had to try it out. Absolutely loved it. Went to my local Argos and had one copy of the game actually left, and luckily I got it. And then the rest is history, and I got hooked on the franchise ever since. So demos, can be a good way, or trials, for example, can be a good way of testing out a game. Like before you actually put your full money in actually buying a game. And these days it seems to be a rare commodity, and companies kind of doing this. Sony, for example, do allow you to play like a couple of hours of a game, but you have to have their PlayStation Plus service, or whatever it's called now. And if you get the premium one, obviously that then allows you to play the game for a couple of hours. But then again, it's about how much that you're gonna pay for these services, and they tend to keep increasing them. So for me, I haven't really used the PlayStation Premium stuff. I would love to, because the fact you can try out demos of their big PlayStation 5 games, like the Horizon Zero Dawn sequel, as example, and you can get to play like the old PlayStation 2 classic games. But again, for me, I look at the price of it, and if you're going to sit and get it for a year, to me, it's kind of not worth it. And as I said, similar thing with Game Pass, where they've increased the prices of their subscription service, and you already have to pay for your internet, and it kind of it becomes a bit too heavy, especially if you've got multiple consoles. So it's kind of really hard to kind of keep up in doing this. Now, first of all, I would say that the graphics are I would say they're pretty good, quite detailed. I was playing it on a 1080p HD TV. Obviously, you're probably going to get a lot more. Obviously, if you're playing it in 4K, so it's going to be a lot more pixels, it's going to look higher res, a lot more detail. So, but from what I've been playing it on, it actually, it's actually really good. The actual presentation of when the game starts up is actually pretty good as well. So that's kind of great. Everything is self-explained in terms of what you're going to do in the actual game. So as I said before, that's pretty good. The graphics are really good. I wouldn't say they're totally outstanding to put you on that level. The car, you get a choice of 3 cars in the beginning of the game, and you can also choose what you want your character to kind of look like. The molds what I saw that are available were pretty good. Again, I don't know how big the full game is going to be, so that would be an interesting thing, in terms of what the game's going to be like. And then what's really good is that when you start at the game, you jump into various different vehicles. So you'll be in a sports car, or one of them buggies, or a motorbike, or etc. etc. Now, the crew game franchise, I think previously to this, there has been 2 other previous crew games, and again, I think they did a trial version or a stroke demo of those games, and I thought the game again was alright, but where my biggest gripe I have with the game, for me, is the actual car handling. I know obviously that cars are supposed to be heavy vehicles, so that you couldn't just, it's not like your Superman, you could pick up a car, but for me, I found the cars too heavy. Now, I know that could be depending on what car you pick, where obviously different cars by different companies, and obviously whether they're sports cars or saloon cars or something, obviously they're gonna handle differently for obvious reasons. But for me, I just felt like the controls for the handling for the cars just weren't very great. Again, I'm not going to say I'm an expert on the actual franchise, because I'm not. Maybe there's other people out there who are more hardcore, seasoned veterans of the crew games. But when it comes to racing games, I would say that I know my stuff when it comes to racing games, having played games like Ridge Race. Obviously, that's more arcade. The Gran Turismo games, especially the current one I'm playing now, Gran Turismo Sport. Still want to get Gran Turismo 7, and the Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport series. So I've played those games and other games in the past as well. And for me, you can pretty much tell that this game is trying so hard for me to take on the Forza Motorsport. It's not the Forza Motorsport series, should I say? The Forza Horizon series, in terms of like you jump from different missions on the game. And for me, in my honest opinion, the Forza Motorsport, the Forza Horizon games are so much better than this game. As of all, the handling it to me does not handle very well. The corners we try to take them, it's kind of not very good. It feels like you're driving in basically mud, and it's just really hard to kind of control the actual car. For me, the handling is kind of not very good at all, and it's a previous experience that I had playing the crew demo, where I didn't like the handling on it. It just feels too heavy, and it's like you don't feel like you got complete like control of the actual game. Also, I think the AI isn't very good either. Yes, you can change the difficulty setting from easy to intermediate to obviously hard, so that probably will have effects on the computer AI, but I just found the actual controls, the actual AI, not very good. Especially like when you're doing races, and you almost feel like that the AI is kind of cheating and taking everything too perfectly. Again, I've had problems with racing car AI, especially in games like Gran Turismo Sport, where obviously it's taking the line of the tracks too perfectly. There's no human error or kind of a challenge, because it's kind of cheating. And especially with that game, it kind of rubber bands in terms of the AI, where it will do anything to try and win. Where it will go around a corner where it will just want. It's like the computer's not breaking and it's taking it perfect, or somehow it's getting an extra boost. And there's a similar thing with Forza. When I was the other day when I was streaming Forza Motorsport 6. Similar problem I had with that when I was driving, and then the computer kind of was cheating, but I could kind of handle that. But in this, it's extremely bad in this particular game, and that was kind of very off-putting, where you're trying to do a race, and it's on both fronts. It's like you're fighting the controls of the actual vehicles, and then also you're fighting the AI of the computer cars. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't expect it to be a complete walk in the park, but what I do expect it to be is to be fair, which for me it kind of isn't. So that for me was very disappointing, and it seems to be for me an issue that I've seen with a lot of the Ubisoft games, where a lot of their games, for example, show a lot of promise in terms of what they have to offer. But it just, for me, that every game they make, it just seems to fall short or something. So again, you can clearly tell that this is they're trying to really challenge Forza Horizon. And for me, Forza, the current one now is obviously Forza Horizon 5, which I haven't played, but I've played Forza Horizon 4, which I do own, but I need to sit there and fully get immersed in that game. But for me, it's like that game. I feel like with the Forza Horizon, and a similar thing with the Motorsport series franchise as well, that it always, although the AI can be a little bit cheaty, but you always feel like if you sit there and kind of stay on track, get used to the controls, there's always you always feel like that you can win, because you haven't got these elements completely against you. So yeah, the AI on the Forza games, whether it's Motorsport or the Horizon franchise, can cheat a little bit, but you kind of persevere, and as simple with the controls and so once you get the hang of it, then you always feel that you've got a fighting chance in actually winning. And that's a thing that I don't feel like that's in this game. And I don't know exactly when this game is coming out, but I just got this feeling that that not many people are going to be playing this game, especially when you've got big games that are already out now, and big games that are going to be coming out in the next like couple of weeks and couple of months towards the end of the year. So I think this is be one of these games where one or two people, a few people will be playing it, but it's not really going to get highlighted in the amount of people are playing it, because obviously currently now we've got Mortal Kombat 1 out now at the moment, and a lot of people are playing that game at the moment. So I just don't think if this is kind of going to get the attention. But as I said before, there are probably people out there who are much more knowledgeable and much more an expert in playing the crew game, because as I said before, this will be the third game in the actual franchise. But for me, I just didn't like it. I don't think it's terrible, because as I said before, the graphics are really good, the detail on the cars are really good, and the presentation is really good. It just, for me, the biggest gripe that I have with the game, as I said before, is the AI and the actual car handling itself, which for me, I think is not very good at all. And as I said before, when I played, my personal experience is that when I've played the Forza games, for argument's sake, right? Yeah, it took me a while to get used to the controls, but it was fairly easy to get the hang of that of the game, and then really get into it. And it only took a couple of races or two. I was right, I'm actually used to the controls and what I need to sit there and do. And I like games like that where you don't expect it to hold your hand when it first starts up, because it won't be too much of a challenge. But for me, I like games where that once you kind of have a tiny bit of practice, you then kind of slowly immerse and ease yourself into the game. And unfortunately, the crew Motorfest, judging by the trailer, because again this isn't the full game, for me just doesn't do it for me. For me, I'll be sticking to the Forza franchises, whether it's Motorsport or Horizon. But as of all, this is trying so hard to be like Forza Horizon, and for me, hands down, the Forza Horizon games are much better than this game. So I would honestly say that try yourself if you've got time, if it's still available. And I would say that if you want the crew type of games and you have an Xbox console, I would personally say, in my opinion, again this is only my opinion, stick to the Forza Horizon games, because for me, it's a much better game and a far more enjoyable experience. So yeah, I hope people enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again on the next video game initial thoughts